Good morning, it's Kate bringing you this week's Monday Mission. And this week is all about anxiety. Does that word just already make you feel anxious, right? So anxiety is something that we all experience. And what I'm going to tell you, and this actually might ease your mind a little bit, is that there is no way to get rid of anxiety. Okay? You're always going to feel it at some point or another. And I'm going to explain why that happens and, the parts in our brain that actually cause that anxiety and why we have it. All right? And then I'm going to go into what we can do about it. And I thought that the best way to explain this process is to give you an example from my own life, okay? So before I get into my example, I'm going to pull out the whiteboard, which we're getting serious, right, with the whiteboard. And please, can we all appreciate that it is pink marble from Hobby Lobby if you need one. All right, this is what happens in our life. So we have an event, circumstance, something that happens. This is a thing we can't control. Our events, we have thoughts around those events, okay? Our thoughts create our feelings create our actions, and our actions create our results, okay? You can do this for any feeling, but we're going to focus on anxiety today. So in my real world experience, the last time that I had, sort of an experience with anxiety is when my son brought home a math quiz that he didn't do very well on, okay? So math is just not his thing. And we had studied for this quiz, and he still didn't do so hot. So that's the event. Now, this event is neutral. It's not good or bad. It doesn't cause anxiety. It's just an event. It just happened. He got a not great grade on his math quiz. It is what it is. What's going to cause my anxiety about it are my thoughts about the event. My thoughts can go to this. I'm a horrible mother. I should have studied more. Should have studied more with him. I should have made them come inside from playing sooner so that he could have practiced more questions, and I should have double checked. Then there's another layer of this for me because I'm a school psychologist, so I'm supposed to be able to help kids learn and do well, right? So the other layer to this is I'm a horrible school psychologist. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not using anything that I know or that I've learned with my own kids. I can't do this. I suck. Well, spirals. Those thoughts create the anxiety, okay? Here's the good news. We can change the thoughts, right? Okay? Like, how empowering is that? You can change the thoughts that prevent the feeling from coming, all right? But let's go back to our example. Let's say I feel those feelings of anxiety, right? What happens for me personally when I'm anxious is I withdraw. So I get super quiet and I don't really interact, which my son could take as me sort of pulling away from him and being mad at him for getting that grade, right? And I physically feel my heart racing, and I don't take deep breaths. I actually forget to breathe and don't take deep breaths. So I have really shallow breaths. And then I'm, constantly trying to get that release and catch that breath. So those actions, the feeling of anxiety caused me to do these things. The results that might get is that I've now withdrawn or kept quiet around my son. He sees me physically anxious, heart racing, not being able to catch my breath. He may internalize that as, wow, like mommy's really mad at me for doing this. I suck at math. Like we studied and I couldn't get it. And then when he goes to take his next math quiz, how do you think he's going to feel about that, right? So those are kind of the results that may happen. And maybe my anxiety pushes me to question the teacher and her instruction and what she's doing with him. And then I might get the result of, that teacher not willing to work with me because of how I reacted to her. Nobody wants those kind of results, right? So those results are based on anxiety. That's obviously not what we want. What can happen differently is I can have different thoughts around the event. So my son brings home a grade that's not great. My thought could be, oh, I'm bummed. I can be bummed. I can be bummed for him about that. But then I can start thinking, well, we really didn't study maybe as much as we could have. So for the next quiz, we're going to study 3 nights ahead before the quiz. Or he's really missing just like that one step. So I'm going to really review that step with him and give him some tools, whether we use graph paper or, I teach him different language and word problems, what they mean and what operation, to do from that word in the word problem, whatever it is. But if those start being my productive thoughts, then my feelings are going to be, maybe I'm a little disappointed, but I'm hopeful now, right? Because there are things we can do about it. There are things we can change, which change my actions, which change the results that we're going to get. All right, so very simple, but it's not easy. It's not easy to catch yourself here. I get that. So let's go through another example. Let's say that you are anxious to fly. So the event is that you have to fly on an airplane, right? It's a completely neutral event. It does not cause your anxiety. What causes your anxiety are your thoughts around flying on an airplane. So if your thoughts are, we're all going to crash into the ocean and die and be gone forever, then you're going to have some anxiety about that, right? If you can create some space for yourself here and try to change the thought, then you can change your feelings and your actions and the results, okay? So any feeling that we have, anything that goes on can follow this model, but I wanted to kind of give you those real world examples to show you how anxiety follows that process, okay? But the good news is that we can change the thoughts. So now we're going to talk about what we can do instead. So I want to reiterate though that stress and anxiety are not bad things, okay? Again, they're neutral. They're not good or bad. Our brain is set up to protect us. Okay, it's that primal part of our brain that wants to keep us safe. So our brain does not realize that we're not being chased by saber-toothed tigers anymore, right? It just knows that if there's any kind of change in our life, or if our body starts to have those physical responses, then they just know that there's stress and anxiety coming, and then it needs to protect us. So it's going to make us either fight, flight, or freeze. Okay, so we're either going to get defensive and fight back. I explained to you how I sort of freeze, I withdraw, I get quiet, or you flight, you're just running away and not dealing with the situation, right? So stress and anxiety are survival techniques, right? So we just have to make that space, like I said, and remind ourselves that, okay, I'm feeling anxious, but I can do some things about it. So the first thing I want you to do is check your basic needs. So remember we had, we did a lot of talk about our basic needs: hunger, thirst, sleep, moving our body, and connection with others, right? So check that maybe those things aren't going on. And if they are, eat something, get a glass of water, go take a walk, make sure you sleep better that night. Always check your basic needs first. Then you want to create space here, okay? So you want to try to create space between the event and the thoughts, whether that's a pause. There are a couple things that you can do there. You can take a couple deep breaths. You can change your environment, so you can go into another room. You can just try to interrupt that automatic thought that's going to create that anxiety for you. And you can challenge the thought that comes up for you, right? So if you're flying and it's causing your anxiety, you can challenge that thought with, maybe find statistics of actual plane crashes, and that's very low, that could happen, right? Then remind yourself that there are safety precautions and there's things on the plane to keep you safe, and challenge that thought that you're having, right? So the next thing you're going to do here is say, if you get to that feeling of anxiety, you're going to say, this is a feeling that is caused by a thought, and I can change that thought. So even if you have to just tell yourself that, this is a feeling that is caused by a thought, and I can change that thought, okay? Then what you could also do is, once you realize what thought is creating the feeling, just blurt it out and write it down. So blurt it out and jot it down somewhere. So for me, it took many times for me to realize, that I associate the kids not getting a good grade or not doing something for school. I somehow associate that with me being a bad mother. Okay, so I have to challenge that thought, and I have to review and think about all the ways that I am a great mom. So that challenges the thought, right? and get out of that all or nothing thinking. One math quiz grade does not equal me being a horrible mother for 11 years, right? So challenging that thought. But if you can blurt it out and jot it down, you may really be surprised to find what thought is causing your feeling. All right. So I'm going to share with you an image, okay? And it's going to go through all of the things that I just talked about, what you can do when you're feeling anxious. And it's going to look like this. And I'm going to show you real quick how you can save it to your notes, okay? So it's going to look like this. And so I gave you sort of like a little cheat sheet of what to do. And you're going to hit, sorry if you don't have an Apple phone, I'm not sure how to do it there, but you're going to hit this little button. And you're going to say copy photo, okay? And then you're going to go into your notes section. And you're going to create a new note, paste, and the picture comes up there. So now you will have this at all times. So when you feel the anxiety coming in and you feel those anxious thoughts starting and those anxious feelings and you feel your body start to react to it, you can just go into your notes and you can look at this visual and be like, okay, I know what to do. All right. So I hope that helps. Please, this week, share with me what has come up with you as far as anxiety, and I can help you walk through this process and maybe help you figure out what thoughts are creating it. Okay, so as always, email me, message me, and we'll go through it together. All right, thanks. Have a great day.